Hello everyone and welcome to our presentation. My name is Conza
And Liliana, Celi.
and the name of our session is Take It Blank and Notch using Corpus to aid vocabulary. So in this session we're going to give you some ideas on how to use Corpus and to help you in your teaching practice. Let's get started.
Okay, so as you can see, our title presentation is missing a preposition and we have three options: on, up, and over. So have a guess, which one do you think? Well, how do we know that? Exactly, that's the question. Well, native speakers usually rely on their intuitions when using collocations. However, it does not entirely apply to our context as we are foreign language learners. So we usually encounter these scenarios where we don't have a right answer or we don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, why one option is correct and not the other, because
Exactly.
they may be similar.
Well, we believe that corpus linguistics can give us an answer, so let's see. Okay, there we are. The preposition for our expression is up. Take it up a notch. Okay,
none of my guesses were correct then.
I'm afraid not. Yeah. So we are relying on corpus of contemporary American English to get an answer. As you can see, we have a bunch of examples on how the preposition is being used in context. Okay, but what is corpus linguistics? Over. You can give us some insight.
Thanks, Lily. Now, I'm going to move to give you some background information about the rationale underpinning the use of corpora in our classes, and that's the field of corpus linguistics. Sheng defines corpus linguistics as the study of the compilation and analysis of corpora. But what is corpora? Well, corpus is singular, corpora is the plural, and this term refers to large amounts of language data that is stored in electronic format that gives insight into the structure and regularity of naturally occurring language. Regularity is key because it shows us the frequency, how frequent some words occur in natural occurring language. So these large collections of words created to be representative of certain aspects of language. Let's say, for example, British English, American English, English as a lingua franca, and so on and so forth.
So there is a variation between those examples of corpora, right?
True, and that variation or that data help us or can be used to analyze, describe, and teach the language. So therefore, it becomes very useful to be applicable in our classes. What has corpus linguistics taught us about language? There are two main findings here. First of all, we have frequency, and the second one is the formulaicity. So in terms of frequency, whenever we type a word, corpus tools retrieve us like how often this word occurs. So we can see examples of that word in spoken or written language. And in terms of formulaicity, it's possible to identify formulaic language such as collocations, phrasal verbs, idioms, sentence frames, discourse markers. And therefore, these words can, since these words go commonly together, it's easier for learners to acquire them in chunks, and therefore it reduces the cognitive load. So they are more likely to remember them because they are learning them in chunks.
Yeah, that's easier for them because if they start learning word by word, it may take longer.
And they may forget, and plus, we're going to see later on that the meaning differs. Okay, so again, those are the two main findings. In addition, all these examples that we're going to use from corpora, they're used in authentic material. So that's an extra, yeah. So formulaicity, this refers to, or corpus linguistics has found that language exhibits a highly patterned structure and consists of different types of phraseological patterns. So in other words, we can see collocations, words that tend to occur together. And in fact, 50% of all language has been found to be formulaic. And when we analyze spoken discourse, that's even more noticeable. It's even higher here. Now, what are collocations? So Smith mentions that collocations refers to the tendency of two or more words, as in the example that we had at the very beginning, to co-occur together more frequently than expected by chance. So again, they tend to occur, and it's not a matter of chance. Okay, so they commonly go together. Yeah, it's natural. Okay, depending on the relationship of the exclusivity between these two words, we have different types of collocations. The relationship can be strong. So for, let's say, for example, the word blonde. Blonde occurs almost exclusively with hair, with woman and lady. So therefore we can see that this collocation, yeah, they're kind of fixed, so therefore it's a strong collocation. But if we analyze the word nice, nice can have different, or can modify different nouns. Like you can have a nice view, a nice car, a nice person. So it's not that fixed.
Not limited to
Yeah,
certain words.
exactly. So therefore, we can consider these types of collocations as weak.
Okay. Well, so given that 50% of language is formulaic, yeah, vocabulary becomes paramount, extremely useful. In fact, it's the foundation where all the linguistic skills build upon. But how can corpora help enhance vocabulary teaching? That's the question. Well, teachers, we usually feel like we don't have the resources to approach vocabulary in a systematic manner. Sometimes we encounter different scenarios. You teach vocabulary to your students. Next class, they have forgotten most of it. And so, yeah, the learning seems like it's not...
learners are not making progress, yeah.
Exactly. So Sudarsky says that corpus tools can improve vocabulary instruction in important ways. And today we're going to show you 3 main tools you can use to enhance your students' learning vocabulary. Yet, when you hear the term corpus linguistics, teachers perceive it as highly technical, and that's if you're consulting corpora because you say, oh, maybe it's too technical, it's too difficult to use. But we will show you that it's not.
Researchers do that, or maybe they're the ones, they're the experts, so therefore they should be the ones who do that, not teachers.
Exactly. Yeah, but you can use corpora in your class. Well, this workshop is going to show you how we use corpora in our classes.
We have been using, and again, from our experience.
Exactly. Most of the examples that we are going to use have been taken from our lessons. Yeah, there are multiple easy-to-use corpus functions that can be incorporated into everyday teaching practice, and you will see it how to do it. Okay, so let's begin. Let's give you a general overview of corpus, in this case, Corpus of Contemporary American English, which is COCA. So in your browser, you are going to type English/corpora.org/COCA/. Once you are done with that, you will see, yeah, the main page, and there you will see the tools. We have list, card, word, browse, collocates, compare, and KWIC. So in today's session, we are going to focus on collocates, compare, and keyword in context. We are going to present you some examples of how you can use them in your class with simple tasks.
Okay. Plus, like something that it's worth mentioning is that we started using this tool as a result of the pandemic, right? Because like since we had to move, or were forced to move from face-to-face sessions to online or to virtual classes, like students had connection or access to internet or to these resources, so therefore it was easier for teachers to rely on this.
Exactly, because you need technology, whereas if you are in the classroom, sometimes there are some hindrances, like there's no good internet connection, or there are not enough computers. But now our students have access to internet.
Yeah. So let's see.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, so we will start with collocations. And as Over mentioned, collocations convey a specific meaning different from that of each of its constituents. So collocations occur together and they have a meaning, whereas if you separate the constituents, yeah, the meanings can change. They are key elements of daily life communication. And we as teachers need to draw our students' attention to the importance of collocations and phraseology, which is formulaic language. And corpora is the key. So we have 2 more examples, powerful and strong. Yeah, these 2 adjectives have similar meanings. But when using the noun cars, we say powerful cars instead of strong cars. And there is nothing wrong with the strong cars, but it's not natural.
Yeah, that's a key as well. And plus, I would say that when it comes to collocations, they help like also language learners to show a higher degree of proficiency, so they sound more fluent. So that's why it's also important to teach them.
And look, we have one more example, tall and high. This is another one, yeah, and they both belong to the same semantic category. Yeah, so we say tall building instead of high building.
And again, here comes like sort of the influence from L1, because we would say like un edificio alto, and then since we're talking about things, you may relate like tall, it's only for people, whereas high should be for things, and then like there's come this issue, this conflict in students and learners' mind, and therefore a good way to approach this is to show them, okay, so there is not exactly that explanation that fits all of them.
It's difficult to find the right words to explain that, because we learn it by heart, or exactly. So there's, I mean, in my case, when my students ask this type of questions, why tall instead of high? Yeah. Sometimes I'm left speechless because I don't know how to explain. So we believe that using corporate can give them the context, the clues to get the right meaning. Okay, so we are going to start with an example. Yeah, so we need to select collocates, and then in the first spacebar, you are going to type in decision. We are going to use decision this time because we want to find out which is the most common verb that collocates decision. It can be taken, it can be make. We don't know, so let's see. And then we need to choose the right part of speech. So we want to find the verb that collocates decision. And well, you might be wondering what the last bar is showing. Yeah, well, in that bar you are going to select two slots. Yeah, because we put slots to the left because we want to find the verb that collocates decision. And if we select two slots, it's because we need to consider that there is an article in between. Yeah, so then let's click on find collocates. Okay, there we have the answer. So the most frequent verb for the noun decision is make and all its inflected forms.
Made, making, makes, very common. And here we can also see the frequency.
Exactly, the frequency is key, yeah. So let's click. Okay, there we have how it's used in context to make your decision.
Let me read the first example. Okay. It says, please make your decision carefully. Okay, the regulations will help make the decision of choosing these services much easier as competency testing and continues. So what we can see here is different examples, and what is the pattern? That decision is preceded by make.
And as you know, we also say take a decision, but Corpus Linguistics shows the frequency of words. So in this case, the most frequent is make.
Yeah.
It's make. Okay,
another
example, table. Well, since we are Spanish speakers, we are from Ecuador, so we say poner la mesa.
Yeah, true.
And when you are in class, your students might feel tempted to translate it to put the table, because they believe that put is equivalent to poner. Yeah. But it's not entirely true. So
because we have different words that refer to that specific verb. Is in English.
You see, cross-linguistic influence is present everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to type in the noun table, and then we have to choose the correct part of the speech, which is verb. And again, select two slots because there is an article. Yeah, then we click on collocates. And let's see, we have there the verbs. We have see, shown, presented, and said. But for our purpose, we need said, because we want to show that we should not say put the table, because the most natural form is set the table. Okay, let's see. There we have. Over, can you read an example that can help like a beginner?
It says, come help Nana at the table.
Yeah,
okay. Great Gar goes at the table. So here we have like exercise 1 or example 1 or example 3, and we have a bunch.
Exactly, there are multiple examples you can use, but remember you have to be selective, because Over said at the beginning that Corpora compiles information from different sources. So different sources includes everything. Just be careful with that, something to be aware of. Yeah. Okay, let's try one more example, but this time
listen.
Listen, yes, yeah, it's a very common one. We want to know the noun that collocates the verb listen. So again, we type in listen, and then in part of the speech, we're going to choose noun. And this time, choose 2 slots to the right, okay? Then we click on find collocates. And then we have music, mom, people, guys, and so on and so forth. So music is the most frequent noun for the verb listen. But let's see more information in context. Okay, so we have listen to music. You know, this is particularly
important for EFL learners.
Because we have the preposition, because sometimes the students say listen music or listen the music. But here we see the examples in authentic context as listen to music. So we can take advantage of this too.
It's fine. So I would say that whenever we ask our students to do this, they will see that themselves. Okay, so they will identify that. Plus, like, we're promoting like higher order thinking because they need to do that on their own.
Exactly. It also fosters autonomous learning, because you can ask your students to do it by themselves, maybe for homework or as an extra assignment. You can give it multiple uses. Okay, now over.
Before we move on, we have experience training candidates before taking standardized tests such as KWIC examinations. And for example, there's a task called open close. Okay, where students need to fill in that blank with a specific word, and most of the times it tends to be a preposition, an article, and students might wonder why, what that specific word should be put in that specific blank. And I would say that if we don't know the answer, because that may happen, at least with higher levels, with advanced students, and we can direct them so they can do it. Okay, so notice that it's not 4, it should be 2. Okay, so, and they can notice those patterns as well. So, and plus, not the teacher doing it on his own, but giving students the chance to discover it on their own.
It becomes more meaningful for them because they are doing it on their own.
Yeah, and again, those would be practical applications in terms of test preparation classes. Now, I'm going to give you other tools, and I'm going to explore KWIC. So, KWIC stands for Keyword in Context, and it's a format for viewing corpus data in which samples of real language are presented in lines of text, also known as concordances. KWIC also provides insights into the various ways a word is used. Often I notice when looking at individual text only, for example, when you go and look for a word in a dictionary. Okay, this provides students with more nuanced information about the behavior of words and their role of context in creating meaning. So I would say it includes more context. I mean, it gives you like the different definitions or the different meanings that the certain words can have depending on the context.
And the word context is key. It's crucial when using corpus tools. It's key.
Yeah.
And even for vocabulary learning, it's key because you need to have like a surrounding context for a word.
Yeah, like let's say, for example, the word bank. Okay, so it may represent like, you know, the building, the office, or like similar to a bench where you can see it. So you need context to make sense of that word. So again, this is particularly interesting or important when working with polysemous words. And I'm going to mention an example, at least with this one. I had to cover a unit on tourism, and students need to learn some vocabulary related to travel. And they had the word arrive.
The preposition,
yeah. And again, here like arrive in Spanish would be llegar, and it usually collocates in Spanish with llegar a. So arrive, that would be the natural guess for our students. So what I did was like to direct the students to using KWIC. So here we have arrive. Then I select the 2 slots to the right because I want to know the preposition after the verb. And then hit keyword in context. So from the results that were retrieved, I can notice that the most common prepositions are at. In the other slide, we have in. So can we see 2 here? Not really, 2.
No, 2 no.
But we have in and at. So
we have to explain that, well, we have to make the students infer the use of at and in.
Again, because if we as teachers come to the classroom and tell them, okay, you should memorize, this is the rule, this is the rule, this is the rule, and this is the exception as well, most of the cases.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Motivate them. So.
Yeah, so students can take a look at the occurrence of language of these expressions, for example, and they can figure out. So, okay, so at, it's using at camp, at college. So that gives me a hint that it's, yeah, true. And whereas if I use in France, in May, okay, so what do I notice here? That's more general, like for country, city. So they can figure it out. Now, you may be wondering what the codes represent.
About the color coding.
Okay, so this is also a useful way to remind learners about the different parts of speech. So, for example, in yellow, you can notice that, yeah, it represents prepositions. Yeah, the blue, the words that are in blue are related to nouns. Then we have, I think it's a gray. Sorry, I said it's terrible. It represents pronouns. Yeah, and like what else we have? The ring. Yeah, adjectives. Okay, so we can notice that. Okay.
Like eye-catching, it's appealing for learners because you know you see a bunch of colors, it's more attractive.
Yeah, patterns. Like the preposition, and we can see here in, that would be the pattern as well. Let's see, another use of KWIC is whenever we want to address, yeah, sayings, idioms, fixed expressions. For example, this one, storm in a teacup, Spanish equivalent would be like tormenta en un vaso de agua. And chances are in a glass of water, yeah. And again, the English equivalent for that would be storm in a teacup. So we can show them.
If you want to show us why, or the context. Okay.
Okay, so we typed in the word, then storm in a teacup, then we select 3 slots to the right, 1, 2, 3, and then word in context. Let's see. Ta-da! Here we have the results. What happens? So we can see different sentences that contain this expression. Okay. Yes. And again, it repeats the color codes that we already used previously.
And what if we want to have like an expanded context? Because you know I can see it's absolutely right, but what if I want to have like a surrounding context, or I don't know,
we can
take advantage of?
Sure. And the thing is, like as you mentioned, we can guide students toward, like, let's say we have a new idiom. We don't want to teach them, we don't use Spanish at all. We can just guide them to context. So they can read the context and they can figure out the meaning of that idiom. Okay? So for example, here, I'm gonna click on this, Africa Today, and I have more context. If I read the sentence before, okay, it says, I happen to think that these debates and problems are something of a storm in a teacup. And then if I continue reading, like I will have more context to understand the meaning of this specific idiom. And plus, like just to give you more, I'm gonna say, students can figure out the meaning of that expression, not just the teacher giving them a list. Yeah, exactly.
And the context is more than enough to grasp the meaning of this expression.
And plus, like as I showed you before, like we have different sources. Like for example, this is from 1997. And we go back, we have other sources as well. So you can click on any of them, or students can click on any of them, and can expand the context to the more specific context of this word.
Just be careful when selecting the source, because there are different type of texts. So it's better to do it beforehand, before your class, when you are planning.
Okay, so besides KWIC and Collocates, we wanted to show you one additional feature that it's compared.
Sure.
So yeah, and first of all, what we like about this feature is that it allows you to compare 2 words that are closely related. For example, in this case, Lily already mentioned, were in use, and we took this example from our students' experience. I mean, mistakes per se.
Why? Because in Spanish we say usar and say, teacher, what's the problem with use?
Yeah. So anyways, what we have to do here, we typed in the first word, like where. The order doesn't really matter. The second word is use. Okay, and then we type the collocates. In this case, what I want to know is what are the collocates after these verbs. Okay, so I select 2 slots to the right, and then I hit compare words. I have 2 charts. The first chart shows me the frequency of some of the words for.
They are all related with clothes.
What is the pattern again? Patterns are also key here. You can wear shorts, wear dresses, wear skirts, and so on. So we use the verb wear whenever we're talking about clothing, right? And what about use? Can we find any word that relates to clothes? Not really. Okay, so maybe if we have students do this search on their own, like, may notice those patterns as well, or we can direct their attention towards these patterns. Okay, so for example, with use, we have use force, use term, use word. Again, these are the most frequent words that come after use.
Okay.
Let's see another example. Okay, two closely related words, win, gain. The Spanish would be ganar.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see. How do we put this? What is the difference? What words collocate with which ones?
They are semantically related, but yeah, in Spanish, it's the same term.
Yeah. So here we have win, here we have gain. Again, the order doesn't really matter. And we click collocates, we select collocates, one spot to the slot to the left, one to the right. Okay, and then we're going to see the words. We're going to compare the words. Here we have win. For win, we have win games. You can win elections. You can win. You can have a win-win situation. Okay. And what about gain?
Yeah.
You can gain weight. You can gain knowledge, and so on. So you can never gain a game. Okay. Or you can never win weight. Okay. So because these are the most common occurrences of language with these specific words. So that would say it's very important. That would be something like an aha moment
for
for
real
students.
application.
Yeah, because they can notice that. Let's see the next part. I'm going to compare
two common verbs.
in this case. Yes, we have see.
There is a confusion because we can say see a movie.
Yeah, see a film.
We don't say see TV. And how can you explain that to your learners?
Okay. We can look the answers here using Coca. So we use the feature compare, and we type in the word see, then we type in the second word watch, and then in this case, we want to know the nouns that usually collocate with these two verbs. So I select just one slot to the right, and then compare the words. Let's see. You can see table, figure, what we already covered in the first slides. And you can watch what? TV, television, okay? So that gives us some insight, some hints about how words can go together, okay? Let me see.
And this is natural language, like there's not a magic formula to learn, it's just natural language, it's the way it is.
Yeah, like for example, I just, something rings my bell. Why do homework and not make homework? Okay, we can use this feature to compare one to help them notice. Okay, so to see, like, can you say actually make homework? Okay,
instead of giving them a list of words to
like,
memorize,
no, it's incorrect.
it's better to use this type of tool. And you see, it's not difficult to use.
Yeah.
Not at all. Well, as we are approaching to the end of our session, we want to show you some important things to consider. So first, it's preferable to register beforehand so you can type in more than 10 searches. I mean, if you want to try, you can do it without an account, but then after 10 searches, it will stop you from getting...
It will say, like, you need to register to continue doing more searches,
but yeah, if you are using a free account, you can only carry out 50 searches per day. But we both believe that for our teaching purposes, it's more than enough. 50 searches per day.
Plus, like, we are advocating for using Corpora in our classes, so we can direct students to work in groups. So let's say, for example, verb patterns, that's also another common topic. So which goes with gerund, which verbs go with infinitives, which one goes with both. So we can give them the verbs, and they can, like, do the searches on their own, and they can identify the patterns instead of just giving them the list. This go with this, and so on. So it would be more than enough. You're not going to give 50 verbs to your students to memorize, yeah, 10. Let's say we give them 10. That would be more than enough for them to figure it out.
So it's a limitation, but yeah, I think 50 is enough. Prior to its use, ensure your students are aware of part of speech. Well, Corpus Linguistics, or COCA, uses a color coding, which is very appealing for our learners, but you need to explain to them beforehand, if they are beginners, of course, which word is a noun, an adjective, just to make their search more productive.
Like if you're working with intermediate students, like they would be, it would be a way to review something that they already know. So like, okay, remember, to be like, remember what's noun, and then so here we have which ones are noun, so they can also figure it out on their own, like the colors that each part of speech is represented by.
Yes. One more thing, before entering your search, mind some technical issues. Well, Corpus Linguistics is not too technical, but we need to be aware of some technical issues like underscore and asterisk, because in some cases, if you see an underscore, you may not get
usually before
the
the
words
tag,
you're looking for.
When you're tagging the part of speech, it will automatically create the underscore there, so you need to eliminate.
And it will block your search, so just be aware. You can always read the help page before you use Corpora. I mean, just to avoid some frustration. But yeah, it's not difficult. Just take a look, read it, and then you can do your search more confidently. Okay, well, there are a wide range of resources when it comes to Corpus Linguistics. We have general and specialized corpora. So general corpora, which is a wide range of texts that represent natural language as it is used across different contexts. So for example, we have the BNC, which is British National Corpus, and this is an interesting fact. 90% comes from written language and 10% from spoken language, and it has a total of 100 million words. That's the British corpus. The corpus we were describing today, which is COCA, it has 60% written and 40% spoken, but I think it's 1 billion words. Yeah, it's the most widely used. We have also the Cambridge and Nottingham Corpus of Discourse in English, 5 million words of spoken British English. It depends on your needs. We have the International Corpus of English, written and spoken English of all countries where English is the first or official language, and it also has 1 million words for each national variety.
It's a lot. The thing is, like, depending on your needs, you will choose the one that best adapts to your context, to your scenario. Like, let's say, for example, if you're teaching American English, or if you're teaching,
I should definitely go for
if you're using British English, the textbook suggests that variety.
You are going to find that variation in vocabulary, for example, like lift, elevator, and all that stuff. Well, we did our search, and we also have like specialized corpora. Yeah, you can use depending on your teaching context, of course. So we have the Michigan Corpus of Academic Spoken English. It has 1,800,000 words taken from lectures, dissertation, defenses, and meetings. So it's very like an academic context.
For those of you who are teaching ESP classes, or English for academic purposes as well, that will be very useful.
Yeah, we also have the British Academic Written English, and it has almost 7 million words of proficient student writing. Yeah, so if you are teaching writing, then you can have a go and try to find some resources in this corpus.
Yeah, because like those are, again, authentic samples where students can just go and see them.
And we have also British Academic Spoken English, 1,600,000 words and video data from 160 lectures and 40 seminars. And, and finally, we have the International Corpus of Learner English, language produced by second and foreign language learners. Yeah, this is, this is exactly, it's appropriate for our context, Okay, well, we're going to leave you with some takeaways from this session. Despite the limitation of the searchers, like you can only do 50 searches per day, COCA is free to use. That's a good advantage. Yeah, and also it contains more than 1 billion words of text, 25 million words each year. So it's updated on a yearly basis.
Still relevant, so students can go and know that that source is reliable.
Exactly, and it's a natural language occurrences. And well, Corpora also has some genres like spoken, fiction, popular magazines, newspapers, academic tests, and so on. So
this update in March 2020 where they added more, like the movie subtitles again, which makes it like richer.
Yeah, it has information from different contexts. That's why we suggest selecting the information you are going to use if you are going to take maybe a handout or something beforehand, because it comes from all sorts of contexts.
Yeah, but like I think we forgot to mention that teachers can create or can have students create the materials. For example, we usually ask our students to create their sentences, okay, and then we can create like gap filling exercises where students take the sentences from Corpus and then leave the spaces empty, and the other students will have to complete just to check that they did their activity. So it will be like teachers won't be wasting that much time like doing or creating their own materials, but just taking from that and adapting them.
And the thing is that the contents are not graded, because when we are teaching in our books, we find kind of fictitious.
Not natural.
Not natural, because it says A1, A2, and and at some point it's okay. But if your students are like proficient enough, you can use Corpora. But it depends on the uses, because you can explore. We suggest exploring Corpora because it can be applicable for beginners to intermediate or advanced.
We are the living proof that we have using this tool for academic purposes as well. Like whenever we're hesitant about specific words, we're like, okay, coca.
Okay, well, we're going to leave you our contact details. Should you need further information, well, we will be more than happy to answer any question you may have. And as always, it's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and again, like just to remind you that we face the exact same struggle as you guys. We came across this tool, and we have been trying to use this one with our students. So don't be afraid of that. So it may be kind of, let's say, not difficult, but it can be new. Like whenever you experience something new, you're kind of afraid of doing something. But once you like get to use it,
if you are familiar, then you will see that you will rely on Coca all the time.
We have shared with you some of our experiences with our students, and we hope that you found this session informative and helpful. And again, it's just another way to see at language and just see the tools out there. And I hope that you can make now a good use of it.
Yes, well, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for sharing this time with us, and greetings from Loja, Ecuador.
Yep.
We are Lojanos.
It was our pleasure. So again, have a good rest of the day. Bye, guys.